Yes, I ended up taking the FE several times. Kind of got frustrated at some point, but I never gave up.
So Rico, it's interesting because you were one of the very first students, one of my very first IP students who I did my YouTube interview with.
That I never gave up on that process. But so I ended up passing that in February 2021, amongst all the other things that were going on, COVID and other things. My first time was taking FE. I'm trying to think back. I think it started in 2015, I believe.
Wow. So it's really been an 8-year long journey.
Yeah, so I did use another resource, and I think it was a combination of two things. One, I think after coming off of the FE exam, I was slightly burned out, and I said, okay, well, I need to take a break. I probably took a little bit too much of a break. I think I might have been like one class behind, but it was more of the introductory stuff, more like your instrumentation. I don't want to call it the easy stuff, but it's more of the basics of everything. I would send you questions, and you notice, well, after several questions, like you probably should join my class. A live class would be very helpful for you. I ended up doing that, and I think it was the best decision that I ever did as far as preparing for the exam.
Hi, Rico.
Oh, hello, Awasim. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. So Rico, congratulations on passing your P Power exam.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad it's over with.
So Rico, it's interesting because you were one of the very first students, one of my very first IP
Yes.
students who I did my YouTube interview with. Success story. In fact, I'll include a link somewhere. And that was at least 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
Exactly 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years ago, right? And you had actually passed the exam a few months before that interview. So I was just testing water whether it is something that I want to try. I wanted to try these success stories, and I've never stopped since then. Students enjoy it, viewers enjoy it. I like it. It is one of the main anchors of my YouTube channel. So thanks a lot for taking the initiative and doing that. So let's quickly fast forward to your P Power exam preparation. So you passed FE in 2020, is that right?
Yes. Actually, it was February 2021.
2021, okay.
I passed the FE.
It was also, you were in a multiple repeats attempt situation with FE, correct?
Yes, I ended up taking the FE several times. Kind of got frustrated at some point, but I never gave up. I think that's the key that everybody should understand is that you never know how close you are to actually achieving a goal. And I think that was the key is that I never gave up on that process. But uh, so I ended up passing that in February 2021, amongst all the other things that were going on, COVID and other things.
And what
Issues.
was the first time you took FE? Rico, you remember?
My first time was taking FE. I'm trying to think back. I think it was started in 2015, I believe.
Well, so it's really been an 8-year long journey,
Right.
right? And that's the key,
Starting and
almost a
stopping.
decade, almost a
Yeah.
decade. And the
Yeah,
key is
exactly.
that you didn't give up. You
Yep.
didn't give up. And I think you shared an article with me about this lady who was taking the law exam. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. There was as a matter of fact, I looked at that because I have it saved on my phone as an app. You can take articles off the web. And there was a lady that she was studying for her law exam. She had a full-time job, family just like I do. And she had challenges passing the bar exam. And but she never gave up on the whole process. And one day she got her results back and she realized she passed. Matter of fact, I looked her name up on LinkedIn. I'm just curious. And
Yeah,
she's actually practicing law somewhere else now. So
right.
definitely, as I mentioned, don't give up.
Right. And that was your motivation to get your FE done.
Yes.
So after 2021, you used some other resources to prepare for your PE exam, but I
Yeah.
think you never took the exam, correct?
Yeah, so I did use another resource, and I think it was a combination of two things. One, I think after coming off of the FE exam, I was slightly burned out, and I said, okay, well, I need to take a break. And I probably took a little bit too much of a break, and then I decided to take a course. And honestly, I think I needed more information after taking that course. I had a little bit of information that was for me, but I needed more of a foundation. And of course, that's when I ended up finding out about your course.
And so you enrolled in my program, I think in 2022, is that right?
22, that's correct.
Yeah. And you were initially part of the on-demand program, and then you added the live training on top of that.
Yep.
And so tell me about your P-Power exam preparation journey.
Yes. So one of the things that I end up doing is number one, I end up joining the live classes that you held on the weekend, right? I think I might have been like one class behind, but it was more of the introductory stuff, more like your I think instrumentation. I don't want to call it the easy stuff, but it's more of the basis of everything. And so I was familiar with that part. Plus, I was also going through your handbook that you have, the study guide, which was a huge help. So I went through that. I think I got past the
So that's
first
the
three
one.
chapters. Yep,
Yes.
exactly. And so normally, as I would do with the FE, I would send you questions, and you notice, well, after several questions, like you probably should join my class. My live class, it would be very helpful for you. You didn't say that directly, but I could read between the lines.
Great.
But anyway, I ended up doing that, and I think it was the best decision that I ever did as far as preparing for the exam, because I realized there were some gaps in my studying, and I realized that from the previous course as well. But definitely was some huge gaps, and after going through the live class and really kind of getting a good basis there, I think it gave me a lot more confidence as far as, hey, this test it's a challenge, but it's not impossible. And so as I continued through the classes, looking at the on-demand videos, also going back through the live class videos, I started to build that confidence up that, hey, I can definitely do this. I never thought I couldn't, but it's just the fact that, hey, this is not an impossible task. You just have to kind of put in the work
Right.
and really, take the time out to make it happen.
Right. So in terms of the resources that you use, if you look at them individually, so you started out with the study guide, right? Because I had
Yes,
published a study guide in 2022 at the beginning of the year. And you were a former FE student of mine, but I think at that point in time, like a lot of students, you're
yes,
probably not aware of the fact that I had just launched my P-Power program as well.
that's
So you
correct.
got the book because you had used that book for FE as well. And then you started sending me questions. And then I think, in one of the emails I mentioned to you that maybe you're not aware, but I also have a P-Power program.
Correct.
And that's
Yes.
when you decided, okay, you know what, you're running into multiple conceptual issues, at least on the theoretical side of things. And then you gave it a try, the on-demand, you like the on-demand, and then you went with the live training. So in terms of the study guide, you basically went through it. It has 700 plus practice problems, right? You
Hmm.
went through it, cover to cover, correct?
Yes. That's correct. I did go through it cover to cover. And I think one of the things that I really like about the study guide is really how it really kind of goes along with the on-demand course, as well as really with your live course as well. So for example, if I give you just one example out of the book, I think, and everybody probably has a challenge with this particular subject with symmetrical component.
Yeah.
Well, you had several problems where if you go to a textbook and try to solve those type of problems, they usually start with, I think, phase B, and
Mm-hmm.
you went to phase A and C. You basically covered all bases, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was huge, because when you're trying to really understand the subject matter, you want to understand it from end to end rather
Correct.
than one point of, because you never know what you're going to get on the test, right? So you got to be ready for anything. And so
Right.
that was a good example of what was in the book. And then there was other things as well where the explanations were very detailed. You knew exactly what to really zero in as far as if you got the problem wrong, what were the gaps and how do you
Right.
close those? So
So that's the study guide. And then you moved on to the on-demand. In
yes.
the on-demand program, what was your impression going through the lectures? You had gone through my FE program as well, and then you
Mhm.
had tried another product in between for your P power as well. So how did you utilize the on-demand program?
Yeah, so as far as the on-demand program, and then of course the previous course that I had taken before, I think the course, the actual on-demand built a foundation. Also, along with the handbook, there are the study guide to help you build a foundation. And once you got that foundation built, you go through all the actual lectures, the quizzes, and then you go to the actual mini exam. And I think the mini exam was very powerful in the sense that, hey, if I come out scoring well on this mini exam, I think I definitely got the subject matter mastered. But if you don't, then you need to go back through and try to figure out, okay,
Right.
where are my gaps? So the mini exams were like really, really good, because it gave you a good assessment of where you were in your studying. And of course, it's good to find out there rather than finding it out on the day of the test.
So you enjoyed the built-in sort of checks and balances and
Exactly.
the testing that was done in between. Within the on-demand program, you'd find that in pretty much every concept, I have done, with every theoretical item, I've basically done a lot of derivations.
Yeah.
Did those derivations help you, that level of detail?
Yes, especially on symmetrical components. And I go back to that because really that's where had a lot of issues that I was like, I'm not sure what this is. And because when I talked to peers or previous peers that I work with, they said that we had to take, when they say we, meaning they had to take a power systems course just to actually learn symmetrical components. I'm like, wow. I said, that's interesting. And I understood why, but once you kind of really pictured everything and the way you kind of gave a picture of or visual of what to expect from the actual phasor diagrams or vectors, it made a lot of sense. And then, of course, you went through the derivations of the equations. And I remember actually going through a few practice problems and I said, why am I getting this wrong? But when you go back through the derivation, you understand why. I think it
Yeah.
was a single line to ground. You think you got the problem right, but there's one step that you may forget as far as finding the actual current of the phase, which is multiplied by 3, right?
Right.
Sometimes you forget that. So,
And fault analysis.
yep.
Yeah, you've correctly mentioned symmetrical components a few times because that is that one topic where students have reached out to me, sent me emails, especially saying that I never understood this concept previously. It's probably the most abstract concept, and it sort of makes it way later on in fault analysis, which makes it even more difficult to deal with, right? If you
Yes.
didn't address it properly in the first place. So that's how you used the on-demand program, and then you showed up for most of the live training classes, the ones that you're not able to attend over the weekend. You then watch the recording. So how did the live training bring it all together?
Yes, the live training really brought it all together because I guess completed the picture is that you go through the on-demand videos, right? It's more like you're trying to figure out the ingredients in a recipe or something like that, right? But you go through the steps as far as what you need to do there. But when you get to the actual live training, let's say if you're baking a cake, I'm just trying to put out some type of scenario here. You already baked the cake. The final touch is actually the icing, right? I say
Right.
that the icing on the cake is actually the live videos because you'll go through and say, hey, you've gone through this part, you built the foundation, but here are some of the equations that you really want to concentrate on, and this is why. And you realize quickly when you're going through some more of the mini exams and things of that nature, you understand why you mentioned that particular equation. Of course, also when you're doing the practice exam from NCES, there are some
Right.
things on there that you need to be aware of that kind of really line up with some of those equations. So I think once again, the live class was more like the icing on the cake, but it also reinforced some things that, hey, maybe you forgot during the course of your study, and it's more like a refresher as well. And
Right.
because, you can get a lot of stuff thrown at you. It can be overwhelming, but you
Right.
come back and said, okay, well, I hit you with all this stuff. This is really what you need to be focused on, but don't forget this other stuff, but really focus on this. This is really what's going to help you.
Yeah. No, you were actively participating in live classes. In fact, I could tell that you were enjoying every session and asking quality questions and were taking a learning attitude. So that's one of the things that I realized, that the common denominator among students who are able to comfortably pass this exam. I know everybody is busy, right? And I just
Oh,
wrapped
yeah.
up my January to April live session, and then the next round of live training session is starting May to July. But I know for a fact you have kids, I have kids,
Yes.
a lot of people in our age group, they have families and whatnot. So taking time out of your daily routine, how did you motivate yourself? How did you
Yes.
create an ecosystem around you? Like what type of favors you had to get from
I'm smiling
your
because that was
spouse and
interesting.
everybody else? Like that's a non-technical side of things, right? So how did you
Yes.
handle that?
So, yeah, that was challenging at times, but I would say this: don't let that be. I'm talking to the person that's getting ready to actually take this test in the next couple months or a month or several months out. Don't let that be something that stops you from actually taking on this test. And I kind of give you a couple reasons why. I mean, I'm at a very high level as far as my position, so I can't just say, "Hey, go talk to my vice president and say, hey, I'm gonna need about 4 months or 5 or 6 months that I can't really worry about this other stuff that's going on." I think I would
And
not.
I'll just interject. Rico is without even P license. Rico has been able to reach pretty high up in his career. He's a director of engineering at a
Yes,
utility. Yeah.
exactly.
So
And so, with all that going on, I can't just say, "Hey, I'm going to put everybody aside and hope that you guys figure it out, and I'll be back soon, and we'll start from there." So I
right.
didn't have that option. That's starting with work. And then, of course, I support at a high level during actual storms, hurricanes and things like that. So as you may know, we had several hurricanes here in Florida that, I was heavily involved in. So that was one part of it. And then the other part is as far as family, having two kids, of course, wife, homework, especially the math part, it comes to me. So
Right.
there was no like, hey, I can go figure it out.
Yeah.
Go YouTube it if you can't figure it out. And my youngest daughter, she would not allow that to happen anyway. She's very, very,
Yeah.
I don't want to say stubborn, but she will make sure that you pay attention to her. So at the end of the day, as far as trying to give up time on certain things, I think really what I had to do is make sure once everybody's in bed, I spend a couple hours a night studying. And then on the weekend, just to make sure that I can separate home and really family time, I would come in my office and study, have a nice large desk, double screen and all that stuff, because it really worked out for me that way, because when you're taking an exam, you got two screens anyway. So I
Right.
tried to really, mirror that environment. But as far as giving up, I think I really gave up a lot of stuff on the weekend, cut time with them. And then one of the things I was really struggling with, and the reason why I didn't do it as far as giving it up, I enjoyed working out, and to the point where I actually compete in amateur bodybuilding. And
Wow.
so
Nice.
I had to cut that part out, but I didn't really cut out the working out. So I kept my workout routine. And the reason why I did that, because I did the same thing for the FE. And I
Yeah.
think that helped me with my mentor focus. And I said, I'm going to try to do everything that I did for the FE to pass, as far as certain routines and things like that. And then, of course, I did the same thing for the PE. And
You
so I think
compressed
that,
the timeline. You compressed
yeah,
your workouts and whatnot.
exactly.
You had to basically, pull back on some of the other commitments. Yeah.
Oh yeah, as far as my cardio routine, I had to cut back on that.
Right.
And which I did the same thing with the FE. I cut back on the cardio, but I still would go really hit the weights, because that helped me if I was struggling on a
Yeah,
particular
it clears
problem.
your mind. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You
And
can take
your
your
brain is
frustration out on the iron.
yeah. So you do what you got to do as far as what makes it work for
Yeah.
you, as far as getting through the test. But so those are some things that I did. Like I said, I had to sacrifice the time at night, after everybody was in bed, and make sure I didn't burn myself out, which I think I slightly did, because it
Yeah.
took me about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, to recover after taking the PE,
Right.
because I didn't take any work off or time off work the day after the exam. I went straight into work. So
Wow. Nice. Yeah, so I didn't want to put words in your mouth. I
no problem.
asked this question from pretty much every single student, because those of you who want to have the cake
Yeah.
and eat it too, it's not
Yes.
possible,
No,
right?
it's not. You got to give up something.
You got to give up something, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, the exam doesn't care about
No.
how busy your life is,
No.
whether you have young kids, old kids, whether, any type of challenges that you're going through. So my genuine advice to students is that think of it as a short-term pain for a long-term gain if you can push through that pain barrier, okay? If not, then maybe it's not the right time. But the fact of
Yes.
the matter is, as Rico, you would probably agree, there's never a right time.
You took words right out of my mouth. When is the right time, right? I
There's
would
never a
say,
right time.
yeah. And really, if I would have actually continued to wait any longer,
Hmm.
you kind of lose that window as far as having references or somebody to kind of vouch for you when it comes to your experience. And
That's the other side
also,
of things. Yeah.
so you got to be aware of that as well. So I would say, once again, do not put this exam off because, you're worrying about time. If you really want it, you'll find the time. And
You
that's
will
what I had.
create time.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett, I'm just going to close out on this. Warren Buffett has this interesting saying. He has a lot of one-liners, very witty
Mhm.
one-liners. He says that if you want something to be done urgently, give it to the guy who is busy,
Yes,
right?
that's
And the
true.
reason is that the guy who's busy, he's actively doing stuff. Then the guys who are not busy, they're probably coming up with reasons. And you might have genuine
Or
reasons,
how
but
not to do it,
unfortunately,
right?
right?
Yeah. I said they come up with a reason why they shouldn't be doing it or why they can't
Yes,
do it, right? Yes,
exactly.
I agree.
Yeah. So we need to buckle up, and if you're really serious about it, you'll get it done. By hook or
I
crook, you
agree.
have to put in time and effort, and that's how it's done. Okay, thanks a lot for your time, Rico. Really
Thank you,
appreciate
Wasim.
it. And I hope students found value out of it. And congratulations on the effort, right? Because that's a process, and the
Yes.
result eventually you get the result. But I really like to appreciate the effort of the students more than really the result. Result is a byproduct. You get it eventually. So
Yes,
kudos
I
to you.
agree. But I really want to say thank you for your support, your help along the way. Like I said before, on several conversations, your support along the way has been a huge help because, I mean, I think sometimes in this whole process, you can get on a problem and like, okay, oh gosh, this is what the test is going to be like. And a whole lot of things start going through your mind. But at the end of the day, once you get support on a very difficult subject like this along the way, I think people will really realize that, hey, I can pass this test, but also it's not as difficult as I ever thought it was, because whenever you come back with the explanation, you're like, okay, it wasn't that bad. I was thinking this way, but I wasn't 100% sure, right? So it really helped build the confidence, I guess, when I'm going.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. My pleasure. And thanks for those kind of words of appreciation. Thanks for your time, Rico. And once
Thank
again,
you.
many congrats. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.